pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peace that make the thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to welcome you to a fun-filled family style Friday, y'all, because I got a beautiful couple in the building. Nyasia and Kwame Sarfo are here. They are going to be talking about their business, Love Forever 24. It is a marriage enrichment business. You hear me? So we are definitely here for the family feel of this Friday. But of course, it's the top of the show. So I'm here for you as well, because you're joining us and you also help us grow every time you share this show with folks who you feel could benefit from our daily dose of dope. I promise you we are getting more and more followers because of all of your help. So thank you so much for doing that. If you can't watch us, you can always listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network in the Day with Trae. You'll find us there. Now, before I get into it with this phenomenal couple here today, I got to share with y'all that when I think about family, I talked earlier this week about having my son out with me, but I got to say that there are some family-friendly events that are happening all throughout the year. And I'm starting to see more of these ads come through on my feed, places that I didn't even know exist. So if you haven't been to like the Museum of Illusions or the Bubble Experience, I mean, there's so many different things that are here for kids. And I'm finding myself leaning more into this. And I just got to say, go ahead and credit my grandbaby for that reason, right? Because when you have the next generation enter into your family, there's something that is sparked. Now, I know I still feel like a very new grandparent, right? He's not yet 2, will be 2 in May. So I still feel like a new grandparent, but there's something about me curating experiences for him that is so fun, because kids at that age just have a great time doing fun things that are really about them. And they spend so much time with adults and doing things where they have to be restricted and all of that. So to be able to have full on fun with your young ones in your life is such a special time. So if you have some really good tips, I need to be in the know. I'm in the search for them. I'm looking out. So I want y'all to DM me at Trae Holiday on Instagram and let me know where you are taking the young people in your life. Now, it could be anywhere in the state. I don't care. Just tell me if you have a really dope experience that I need to be taking my grandbaby to. Let me know, because in some cases it is worth the drive or the flight. And you know, Granny does what Granny does for the young one, right? Okay, so when we talk about trying not to spoil, I don't know what that's like yet. Maybe at one day I'll get there, but I gotta say that it is so fun to watch him exploring his creative energy and learning new things and seeing new things and experiencing new things. So when I think of family, y'all, now there is this special, special place in my heart that I have to just curate fun experiences for him. And you know what? Sometimes that could just be grandma showing up uninvited. Well, I try to make sure they know I'm coming, okay? Because, I mean, who really wants that? But for him, it's a surprise. And I pop up and we just play with his toys, or we just watch his favorite show. And I love it because it is really genuinely me spending time with him. That is all I'm looking for. So I just want y'all to hit me up. If you got special places you're going to, let me know. I'm trying to be there, take the photos, capture the memories, and experience fun times with the young ones in my life. Well, after this short break, up next, we got Nyasia and Kwame joining us, and we're going to be talking all things Love Forever 24. Y'all, I'm so excited to get into it with them. You definitely don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Les Miserables, still the world's most popular musical. Experience the breathtaking production that leaves both audiences and critics awestruck. Les Miserables. April 7th through 19th at the Paramount Theater. Tickets at stgpresents.org.
Hi there, my name is Angela Poe Russell. Some of you know me from my years being a journalist, a reporter, host, but I've written a musical, co-written a musical, because I have an amazing team around me. It's called Aviatrix, and it's running at Seattle Public Theater this spring. But you can get an exclusive preview because Seattle Association of Black Journalists is having a program called Black Voices Matter. It's March 14th, on my birthday. Like, imagine that. And we're gonna preview this new musical. You'll get to hear some of the numbers and hear the story behind it and hear how it went from a newsroom to a stage. So that's March 14th, the Seattle Association of Black Journalists at the Northwest African American Museum. I hope to see you there.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now, we got Nyasia and Kwame in the building. What's up, y'all?
What's going on? How you doing?
Hey, I'm grandiose. I'm so glad y'all could join me on this Friday morning. Now, this is really special because we often don't have two people here. And so I know people are going to be like, but you had them on. But we wanted to capture the couple, essence of the two of you. I always got to ask how y'all met. So I'm going to start there, Nyasia. You want to tell us this story?
Sure. Well, one, it's a blessing to be here, so I appreciate you. So I met this fine fella 24 years ago. This year will make 24 years. Born and raised New York City. And we just happened to go to the same college. Mm-hmm. So we lived about a block away from each other, went to high school one train stop away. We're from New York. But we never knew one another. We had mutual friends.
Lots of mutual friends.
Lots of mutual friends. And then we just happened to go to the same school, Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. And they had a transition week, so that first night, everyone going, and it was the movie Paid in Full. So we both go see Paid in Full, we leaving out, and he's like, don't you live in, and he named the projects that I lived in New York. And I was like, who are you? Like, how you know where I live? Like, let me call home. Like, we need to make sure I'm safe. Yeah. And, but he just had a great spirit. He had on my favorite color, which is blue. And I was like, okay, I see you. Mm. And then we just hit it off. And literally, we've been inseparable for 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say if you go through our relationships throughout the past with friends, we've always been inseparable. So it's only right that we get the opportunity to come on this stage together because that's how people know us, right?
Yes.
Even to this day.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing because the two of you not only have this, what my friend Veronica Berry calls a black love-making experience, right? It's people are getting to see love in through your experience, right? But also you are working together in business. And so I want to talk a bit about how you all decided, we need to do something that can help other people enrich their marriages. I love this term of marriage enrichment business. Tell us a little bit about that, Kwame.
Yeah, so the Love Forever 24 kind of came out of our experience through church. Mm-hmm. And so we used to go to this church back east called Abundant Life Family Worship. And so at that time we were dating. We weren't serious or anything like that. But I think they were very focused on family. And so we were getting to that point of getting ready to prepare ourselves for marriage. And we had a group of friends. And so what we would do is when there was a marriage event, we would host at our house. We would invite our friends over, maybe a group of 4 or 5, and we would have like enrichment activities on Friday night. Then Saturday we would go to the church event, and we'd have conversations about what it is that we learned and how we want to be able to take that back to help our relationships. And so that was kind of the genesis of it, right? It was like a weekend thing with our friends. And so when we moved here, we thought, well, we had that in New Jersey and New York, and it was great, and it helped us in terms of our foundation of starting our family, that it would be really easy to kind of recreate that. And we found that it was challenging, right? Coming to a new city and trying to rebuild that. And so with that, we found that we started to travel to different places. So we would go to Chicago, to LA, Oklahoma, right, or Atlanta even, for these different conferences. And through that, we began to think, we haven't found this in Seattle, right? But so what is it that maybe we can do to bring something like these things, these resources, these lessons that we're learning from these different seminars and conferences back to the Seattle community? And so we said, why not start it up ourselves? And so that was kind of the genesis behind Love Forever 24 for us.
Wow. So Nyasia, tell us a bit more about what it is y'all do. I mean, I don't know that I've ever heard the term marriage enrichment, but tell us a bit about some of those particulars that you all bring to this area.
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that, because a lot of people, when we tell them about the business, they're like, but what is that? Like, what marriage is, and what enrichment is, but not together. And so what we've learned is oftentimes people put a lot of energy, effort, money into the wedding and not as much into the marriage. And for us, we were essentially playing marriage without even realizing it from young. So like I said, we met in college, so 17 and 18 years old. When we would have work study, we'll get our money and we're sitting there having money conversations. So we got $200 this week. What we gonna do with this $200, And so we were touching on marriage topics at that young age without even realizing it. And so a lot of what we've experienced and how we've grown as a couple and as individuals, we kind of dealt with before marriage. So when we got into marriage, a lot of those similar issues that others may struggle with, we sort of had a good grasp on them, still needing work and things of that nature. And so what we found is that if we take the time to get to learn one another, do the work to understand what is marriage, what is this investment that people are talking about, what is the work that's necessary, that you can really survive, and then couple with community. And so with that, what we're aiming to do with Love Forever 24 here in Seattle is to put on events that really highlight and show different topics within marriage that people usually don't talk about. And then we believe there's power in storytelling. There's something about hearing someone else's story that makes you then say, wow, it's not just me. Like, okay, we're in this together, And so really having those storytelling elements where we're also giving people tools to be able to go home and say, hey, we learned this here. We know we have to do better and implement it. And so that's really it. And so with our first event in April is friendship and marriage. We believe, like, I love you, I'm gonna love you, we down, but I like you, I like him as a person, and so we're going to have couples just sharing how they maintaining that friendship, even when things get rough, when it's like, no, you sleeping in the tub tonight because I'm mad at you, how do I still come back to say, no, let's get back to center, let's remember what our vows are, what's important, and what work actually looks like.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that I know to be very true is, your love mate relationship is one of the central relationships that teaches you so much about yourself, right? Like you're learning so much about yourself through, the work that you have to do to maintain a solid connection with your partner. So I really appreciate that y'all are bringing some very practical things mixed with the storytelling to make it, an impactful experience for those who join. Now, when we think of marriage enrichment, I think there's a lot of folks here that are still trying to prepare themselves for marriage. Do you see that Love Forever 24 would have space for some of those folks who may not be yet married, but they still want to be preparing themselves appropriately? How have y'all thought about kind of opening the doors to that, if at all? Kwame.
Yeah, so I think that's a part of it. I think that so growing up, like I come from a two-parent household, so my mom and dad were all there, but they were always working, right? And so for me, what love looked like was putting food on the table, not necessarily kind of the soft part that goes into the intimate part, right, that goes into a relationship. So I didn't get that opportunity to see that. And I think I came into the relationship with a lot of expectation and what else? There's another word I'm thinking of. But just like misguided, like understanding of like what gender roles, right? And so I think through Love Forever 24, what we're hoping to do is be able to use our storytelling and our experiences as foundational for those people who are thinking about getting into a relationship, right? So it's like, we're not gonna hold back. We're gonna tell you the real so that you have one, the kind of the framing, but then also the naming, right? To be able to understand, like, when you're going through these different experiences, this is what's happening, right? And I think you mentioned that it's about learning yourself. And I think that's the beauty of a marriage relationship. Like, I think a lot of times we think it's about the other person, but the reward actually comes in the growth that happens within yourself.
Yeah.
Like I always just say, like, I think before I got into, like, even when we were dating, I was selfish, right? But then I think once I took that commitment, made that covenant and commitment to her, there was a shift. And it was like, okay, now I'm entrusted with this woman to be my partner, right? Like, how do I actually really put her first? And what does that actually look like? So that might look like I need to go to therapy and actually talk to someone about some of the things that I've gone through in my past, right? And kind of, again, learn the tools and the skills to understand so that I can show up in a real way for her. And then by doing that, we benefit each other, and we push each other to get to that next level. And so I think those are some of the things.
Yeah, it's so needed too. I also think too that we don't, like, one of the things that I appreciate about what y'all are doing is you're doing it from your own lived experience, right? It's not theoretical for you. It's practical.
Yeah.
These are things that y'all have had to do, are doing now, will continue to do moving forward.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you're like, hey, we're not coming to say we're some experts in this, but we're sharing from a storytelling perspective of how we've been able to apply some of these tools. But I also think there's something special about a powerful black couple doing this. And I got to tell y'all, I'm so excited about this because I know there are a lot of single people who are like, it's just weird. The dating scene is weird. And I tell my son, if you can make it work with the mother of your child, beautiful. Y'all are young, high schoolers, when you had the baby, and you have an opportunity to, like, grow together, but you got to choose each other through the levels of growth.
That's
It was something I didn't learn. I didn't learn that at the time that I was with their father, right? So, just being vulnerable, that was something I go back to and I go, wow, okay, as I was growing up, how are we making those decisions to do the growth parts together? So I love this whole entire concept, but the fact that you're bringing it from a honestly black perspective. We see a lot of stuff around, like, the 5 love languages and all of these things that are kind of outside of our community. They may apply, but they're just not from us. And so there's also sometimes a disconnect. How do you see trying to impart your lived experience with other folks? Now, I'm sure it's open to all folks, but I'm asking about black people because I know that there's a need for this in our community. Tell us a bit about how you intend to really impart what you've learned on others who are, like, excited to just be in the room with those who look like them.
I always say, you may see my glory, but you don't know my story, right? You may see the glitz, the glam, the 24 years, but there's a story behind this. And that's why a lot of what we do is anchored in the storytelling. Going back also really quickly to the singles part, we have a lot of conversations with singles, a lot, more than we even realize. And our events are open to singles for them to get that real world view firsthand of, this is what it's like, right? It's a lot of work. Like with anything worth having is work, but it's worth it, especially with the right person, right? And so for us, to answer your question, it's just going through our lived experiences. We can give you a story about communication. We can give you a story about money, sex, kids, like in-laws. Right? Like there's, those hot topics that people often just, oh, marriage is so amazing. And marriage is amazing, but we want to give people the real. We like to say we're realists. We want to be real with you so that you understand and that you're properly equipped. Yeah. Even our baby, she's 11. At this point, she could do a seminar because she's around so much, but we want to give couples and just people a real insight. Like even at home, we always say we run our home like a business with love. So the 3 of us, we have family meetings, My husband and I, we have family meetings every week.
Model that.
Yeah, the baby, she has to come with her own agenda. These are the things that's important to me this week. So I need it on the calendar, but really showing people and like you said, we don't have it all together. We're still learning. We love to meet with other people, other couples, to learn and grow and share ideas together, because community is how we do this. We weren't meant to do it alone.
Yeah.
And so that's really it.
I really appreciate this sentiment of community and what you shared for the first topic for your April 4th event,
Yes.
right? With friendship. There's something so special about knowing someone as a friend in an uninhibited way.
Yes.
The experience you have with another person by exploring the friendship allows you to see them in all of these different facets of life with different people around, right? People who may be interested in them, y'all may be interested in each other, but you're just friends. And so you're exploring, and you see how they move through these different, opportunities in life.
Yeah.
But it teaches you so much about a person.
Yeah.
And then, there's a transition. So I want to ask you about this, Kwame, because you experience someone as a friend.
Yeah.
But then she becomes your woman.
Yeah.
There's a transition there.
Shift.
Talk
There's
a little bit
there's
about that shift.
Let's see. So, like I said, I think for us, when we started together, we were kind of always together, which in one way is good, but then in the other, you lose yourself, right? And so I think early on, there was a lot of, I would say, conflict, right? Because, I was still trying to be an individual, because I was I'm only 18 years old. I'm in college, right? I had all these grand ideas of what the college experience was supposed to be like. I like you, but, I also like hanging out with my friends, right? And doing the things that young guys do at the time, right? But to bring it down, I'll bring it out to this point. Very recently, I saw a post on Instagram where someone was just talking about their partner checking in on them, right? And how if you haven't matured or you're not locked in, you would see that as an annoyance, right? And that's how I felt early, right? It'd be like, call me when you get to such and such a place, or text me and let me know that you made it there. And I'd be like, girl, leave me alone. I'm good. But as I've grown, and like I said with that post, it connected. It's even the idea that someone values me enough to want to know that I made it to my destination safely, I should have gratitude for that, right? I should be grateful that someone thinks enough of me to want to know that I'm doing okay. But again, as a young man, I'm not receiving it in that way. I'm almost like, girl, you good. And so those are some of the lessons that I think that I've learned that have helped me to even appreciate Nyasia even more as we've grown in our relationship. The other thing too that I like to come back to talk about is loyalty, right? From young and early, Nyasia had shown me what loyalty looked like. And I think I had this misconception of what I thought loyalty looked like, right? And so us going through some of the challenges that we went through and her still being down, in some way somebody might look at it as oh, that's not being down, right? That's immature and all that. But it's again, it forced me to center myself and check myself as okay, it's the people, my friends, are my friends really for me in the way that I think they are? This young lady at the time hasn't wavered. Her loyalty has stayed true through and through. And it's am I also, can I look myself in the mirror, right, as a man and be I'm giving that same reciprocal?
Yeah.
And I think you even touched on it in terms of sometimes the female-male relationship, friendships, right? Yeah. It's there's something about this person and this energy, this other person that's around, that the vibe just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to hear that and not be oh, she's jealous or she's this, that, and the third. It's actually, again, it's rooted in care. And if I'm able to receive that, then I can kind of move a little bit differently because it's honoring her, right? It's okay, we've had this conversation, or she's brought this thing to light. now that I'm kind of experience it, the conscience would be like, you know what, lean in more, right? But it's like, nah, I got something good that's not here right now. And even the fact that she's not here in this moment even makes it even that much more real, if that's the right word, right? For me to show up and honor her in that way when she's not even here, if that makes sense.
I feel that 1,000%, because there's myth busting that y'all are going to have to break through too,
Exactly.
right? Like in these sessions with folks in your events, the way you're curating it, because now with the internet, right, running rampant, oh my goodness, right? There's so much information that people put out there around, oh, well, he only gonna love you if he do these things. Oh, she's only really down if she do these things. And it's like the noise of it all. I think there's a lot of people who are caught up in the noise, unfortunately. And it's also removing them from exploring relationship that could be for them, right? Because you just said it. You both been saying it. It's work. It's not going to show up in this pretty package where everything is there and you're experiencing everything you possibly could with that person. Some of that is growth. Tell me a little bit, Nyasia, about how y'all are going to try to tackle all of these myths that are out there, because now people come with these preconceived notions of, oh, well, you ain't my man if you ain't this, if you ain't that, you ain't my lady if you ain't this, or you know what I mean? I'm the prize. No, I'm the prize. It's too much going on. Tell us how y'all plan to deal with that.
Yeah, and so some of that we've already tackled. So when you go to our Instagram page, we have this section, Marriage Myth Mondays. And it's the myth, the truth, and then how do you add practical tips to break that down. So for example, we don't believe in gender roles. He does all the cooking.
YouTube chef.
Yeah. I will toast and some boil water to get you ready, but that's it, right? I don't cook, right? He does the laundry, right? Like our linen closet, listen, no store got anything on it. It is perfectly folded, color coordinated. That's just not my thing, But for us, it's tackling things head on. Right? So that's how we're going to hit it. We're going to go to those things that we all hear. We all are, susceptible to falling victim to of this is what I expect, right? I love to hear, these stories of the list, my list, right? Even like when you give birth, they're like, what is going to be your birth plan? Trust God. Yeah. Because that's it, is no matter what we may plan, God's going to ultimately decide what's going to happen.
That's right.
And so for us, it's, we're just going to go in with, like, we all hear these things. You have to find what works for you. Like I said, in some households, maybe it is that the woman does all the cooking, and that's okay, but what works for your relationship? So we'll lay out the facts, we'll lay out what we all hear, and then we'll give people tips and tools of, find what works for you. And again, we're not marriage therapists. Right. And so we will be bringing in therapists to give those tips and tools as well. So along with the storytelling of couple A may do it this way, that works for them. Couple B, take what you can use and glean to create what works for you, but then also here's some professional help as well to help you understand, okay, now this is how we move forward. Yeah. And so that, I think, is really going to be the key to helping people understand that therapy is okay. We're also trying to break down that stereotype that Black people don't go to therapy, right? We're normalizing that, yes, help is available and needed in so many different ways. Again, we can't do this alone. Yeah. And so that's how we intend to tackle it.
Yeah. I think there's something so strong about relationships from back in the day. There's several myths that I've had to debunk myself. Like one of them was, the option of not being together just wasn't an option. So we just dealt with it. Everything we just dealt with together. But so much of that was communal. It was a communal experience where you're in a neighborhood and your neighbors and everyone essentially is kind of going through these different levels of relationship in their own right. But what is strengthening community is the fact of, like, you're finding a way to get through it, which is beautiful. Now, this event coming up on April 4th, Tell us a little bit more about some of these details, Kwame. Like, what time does it start? Where is it going to be? What can people expect? You know, folks love to come and know there's food there. Like, right? How are y'all setting this up for success?
Yeah, so I could tell you a little bit about that. So it's happening on Saturday, April 4th at Labor Temple. Don't know the address, but it's from 11 to 3 p.m. So I think we may have discussed, but we're going to have a panel discussion with other couples, just talking about what friendship looks like in our experiences, in our relationships, and then sharing some tips and some tricks that we've learned along the way. The couples that we're going to have is going to be at different stages. So one of the couples will be newlywed, the other be kind of will be the middle, and then we'll have like what we call the anchor, a couple that's been married for over 15 years. Nice. And so that's that. We're definitely going to have food. And so on the food side, we're going to be offering continental breakfast and a brunch menu from Hunter in the Cup. Nice. And then we're also going to have a game. So we're going to be pulling folks from the audience to come up on stage to play our kind of spin on the love and marriage game. And so we're looking to have some couples engaged up on stage and kind of, get some laughter and things of that nature.
Raffles, we'll have some raffles. Gifts are my love language, so you're going to have some gifts sprinkled around. But yeah, so we'll have the raffles. So really looking for businesses that want to partner and really elevating small businesses so that people can learn more about them. Again, this is community, so how can we also elevate the next business? And then after that, the plan is to have these events quarterly with smaller events sprinkled in. So we'll do game nights, couples movie nights, things of that nature. But we'll have these larger conversations quarterly leading up to a 2-day conference. And then ultimately couples getaways and things of that nature. But we're always looking to partner with other couples because we want to learn from other couples, and we want this to be a journey where we're having fun. Like I said, like Kwame said earlier, that's what we had back home. We had a group of couples who were vested in this, and to this day, they'll still call us.
I was just going to say that.
Yep.
They still call us. We call them.
Yeah.
If there's something that's going on that we need some advice, sometimes I'm reaching out to the wife, and it's like we're just having these challenges, and I'm just not sure how to navigate it, and they're there, and vice versa. They'll call. I can remember the one time we were driving home, we got the phone call.
It was like, no, we stopped everything.
Yeah, we just pulled over and just had a conversation. But again, to your point, that's the type of community that we're hoping to bring here and kind of debunk, right? Like, again, it's like you don't have to do this in isolation. And I think that's a lot of times where people get stuck, at least couples get stuck, where it feels like you're the only one who's going through this experience. And we've been taught, I think, in the Black community, is like, you keep it in-house. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? But again, there's the power in storytelling, there's power in community. And when you get to that point of being authentic and real and just showing up with your story, that's going to resonate with somebody. And believe in the idea of, I think, our prayer every day. It's allow me to receive the light of others and then also be able to put that light out too, right, for them to be able to receive it. And so it's that curiosity mindset, right, going out into the world, not expecting to know it all, but looking at every opportunity as a chance to either impart or take in. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's all part of this.
This is so beautiful, y'all. And I'm telling you, I love this. I just got to tell you, because I think you just hit something for me too, where a lot of couples are like, people don't need to be in the business. Like, I don't, I'm not sharing. I'm very private myself, so I understand, right? But there's also power in that sharing that isn't messy. Right. There's a difference, right? If you want to be in my business so you can be telling my business is different. If we are growing together as friends and as, different couples, and we're making these kinds of connections, and this is a trustworthy space where I can share something and y'all know, like, no, we're there to, like, what's up? Let's pull up. We're going to help. We're going to pull over to help, whatever it is. That is special, and it takes time. I was just saying to somebody, as you get older, it's interesting because it's harder to make friends. You know, when you're young, you're just you're creative, you're open more. And as you get older, you've had now some experience that may have shut you off a little bit.
Exactly.
So I love that y'all are curating this space. And of course, I got to give you a second, Nyasia. I'm going to let you talk directly to the people and look in the camera. Tell them how they get all the details, how they continue to follow you all's journey, and how they can show up at these phenomenal events you're curating for them. Go ahead, look right there and let them know.
So yes, we would love to see you all there, whether you're single, whether you're engaged, seriously dating, or married. April 4th, as Kwame said, from 11 to 3 at Labor Temple. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Love Forever 24 Effect. Our website, www.loveforever24.com. And just come have fun. There is no pressure. There's just you to just come, listen, learn, have a good time, and just be amongst one another in community. So we are always there. Even if you just want to chat with us about your own relationship and you just need someone alongside you, guiding you through to have a helping hand, we will always be there. So don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Wow. Y'all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And for bringing your couple love that you had on the East Coast to the West Coast. We appreciate it. And I can't wait to continue to follow y'all on the journey. Of course, as y'all have more and more events, the Day with Trae is always a place for you. Just consider this home.
Thank you.
We will be here to amplify and promote anything y'all have going on. Thank y'all so much for sharing your experiences and helping others navigate their own relationships. Appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you, and we're proud of you for what you're doing, how you show up, your confidence, your everything. So know that we are forever rooting for you as well.
Wow, love, all love. Thank y'all so much.
No problem.
Well, you see, this is what I'm talking about, y'all. I told you was not going to want to miss this. Of course, I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
Washington's biggest night out for sports
is Sports Star.
Welcome back, y'all, to The Day with Trae. Of course, I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Huge shout out to Nyasia and Kwame for being here. Love Forever 24 is bringing some curated experiences to the Pacific Northwest for those of you who are looking to learn from couples, understand your own situation. If you're in a situationship or you're single, you're in a relationship, you're looking to date, looking to be married at some point, this is a great opportunity to just be in space with folks who are going to be sharing real world experiences that you can learn from as you shape yourself into the person that you want to be for your partner. And they said it is open. They want y'all to come through. Check them out on social media. Get down there to Labor Temple on April 4th at 11 a.m. for this amazing experience. If you're curious about, man, am I ready? I think I'm ready. I want to learn. This is truly a space for you because they are making it community friendly. They want you to feel welcome. They are sharing their love story in such an authentic way that I'm almost guaranteeing any of you who go will have a phenomenal experience. I'm so grateful that they have decided to bring something here that is unique in its own way while they are amplifying the great stories other couples have to share. So if you are someone who is like, I think I'm ready for that, this is definitely the space for you. I want you to make sure you get down there to this phenomenal event. And we will continue to uplift all of the work that they're doing because it is truly needed in our community, especially at a time where where, if online dating has got you in the dumps, right? Trust and believe. Sometimes you just need to step outside of your house, step outside of your comfort zone. People don't like going places alone. This is one, maybe you just show up by yourself. You never know who else might be there by themselves, okay? So I'm just excited because we need more spaces like this up here, particularly for those who are looking like us, and it's being led by a couple and some people who are saying, look, we know because we've been through it and we're still learning. So join them on this amazing journey with Love Forever 24. So glad y'all were joining me this week. I thank you so much for watching. Of course, I'll be back with y'all next week. And until then, at 11 a.m., y'all, peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.